to Disability Access in Action, brought to you by the City of Boston's Disabilities Commission. I'm Colleen Flanagan, the Outreach and Engagement Specialist for the City of Boston's Disabilities Commission, and today's episode is all about the Boston Public Library. On today's show, Kyrah Altman, the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Manager at the Boston Public Library, will discuss with the City of Boston's Disabilities Commissioner and ADA Title II Coordinator, Kristen McCosh, the work that the Boston Public Library is doing to welcome everybody, but especially people with disabilities. So let's get right into it. Take it away, Commissioner McCosh.
Thanks, Colleen. As Colleen said, I'm thrilled today to welcome Kyrah Altman from the Boston Public Library. We've worked with Kyrah for a few years now, and she does a lot of great work on equity, inclusion, and accessibility to make the libraries welcoming to everybody. So I'd like to introduce Kyrah and ask her to tell us a little bit about herself.
Hi, thank you so much. I'm really happy to be here. Again, I am the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Manager at the Boston Public Library, or the EDI Manager, as we like to say. My role supports Boston Public Library's strategic vision of creating a library system that is not only free to all, which is our century-old motto, but truly accessible, inclusive, and welcoming to all. So within my role, I have the privilege of supporting 500 plus staff across the system. We have 26 locations, and helping them to advance initiatives focused on equity, accessibility, diversity, inclusion, belonging. All of this to support an institution that truly believes that everyone should have the freedom to learn, create, connect, and belong. We believe everyone has that right should be available to everyone.
That's amazing. And a lot of our viewers may be familiar with the Copley Library because it's an iconic building right in the middle of Copley Square. It's a beautiful building. And the original building wasn't super accessible, but I know they did an addition in the 1970s and have done upgrades since then. So the Copley branch is just beautiful.
Yes.
But there are also neighborhood library branches, which our viewers may not know about. Can you talk about not only the central branch, but also the library branches?
Yes. So our library branches or our neighborhood branches are truly the heart of their communities. Also, fun fact, the Boston Public Library is the first library in the country to even have a branch system. So it's something that we're really proud of. We were also the first to have a children's room within the library. So our neighborhood branches offer unique spaces, programs, collections, and experiences tailored to the direct communities they serve. Our branches serve as trusted neighborhood hubs. Patrons can access books, technology, workforce support, language learning, cultural programming, assistive tech, and more. Many branches even have unique experiences or features. So, for example, our Adam Street branch has a music room. Our Shaw Roxbury branch has a nutrition lab and a Black History library. And at our North End branch, we have a Palazzo du Calais diorama that's incredible and large, and you wouldn't believe it until you see it. So many wonderful places and things to discover within our system. One strategy that we've been using to encourage patrons or residents to see all of our spaces and utilize everything they have to offer is our BPL Passport program. And this is where visitors can actually collect a stamp from every single branch across the system. After they get 10 stamps, they get a prize. And after they go to all 26, they also get a prize. And so this is a really lovely opportunity to explore the diversity, history, character of Boston's neighborhoods, and even the food around those areas, which I really enjoy exploring as well.
That is so helpful to know because I was going to ask this question, but you sort of answered it. You don't have to live in a certain neighborhood in order to go to that branch. Is that right?
Correct. And so you can actually request books from anywhere in the state, but also our central library, and they will get delivered for you within a day or so to your branch of choice. What's also really cool is that 73% of Boston's residents live within a 15-minute walk to a BPL location, including our branches. So it's basically making our institution, our buildings, one of the most geographically accessible public institutions in the city, offering really critical resources for our residents, who we call our patrons.
Amazing. And with all that work that you do and all the services that you provide, it's all free to residents. Is that correct?
Yes. So our public libraries, or public libraries in general, are considered this third space, which means we are a ideally trusting, welcoming, inclusive space where people of all ages can exist for free. They also can access information, support, resources, attend performances, in so much more. But they also can simply exist in that space. And so that also makes us a really critical hub for community members who are vulnerable for a variety of reasons.
Wow, that's amazing. So speaking of being a place where people can just go to spend some time, to browse books, to see what services and programs are available, I would love to talk a little bit about the disability community. I know that the Boston Public Library pays attention to people with disabilities in so many ways.
Mhm.
As we come into the next few months, we know that July is Disability Pride Month, and the BPL has book lists that they publish for disabled, not unable, in honor of July Disability Pride Month. Can you tell us a little bit about this book list or any of the work that BPL does to honor Disability Pride in July?
Absolutely. So I've actually had the privilege of working with reader services and collection development team members and leaders to really um, enhance the expansiveness and improve the content, as well as our curation practices from a DEI or EDI standpoint. And we're really proud to celebrate a variety of holidays and cultural awareness or heritage months throughout the year. One of those is Disability Pride Month, and we celebrate that in many ways. So we celebrate Disability Pride Month by uplifting voices, histories, and experiences of disabled people in book lists, like the Disabled Not Unable book list that you mentioned, also in book displays, in programming, in events, and so much more. Any day across the system, we could have over 100 programs happening. So, really, anywhere in Boston, you are in for a treat. I will also mention that this Disability Pride Month, we're very proud to be partnering with the City of Boston Disabilities Commission, so your wonderful team. We are partnering, and by we, I mean BPL's Community History Department and also Community Learning Department. And we're partnering to offer these free Intro to Disability History workshops and programs for the general public. It's really interesting because not only will this explore disability history that's often forgotten about or not spoken about, but it also has a focus on Boston and Massachusetts. And so that is also really important and exciting to me, especially since we have a lot of history here. And finally, to make that even more accessible to the public, we are planning on having ASL interpreters and also providing cart services for those events. One will be held in person and one will be held online to, again, enhance and increase accessibility.
And since you mentioned that, I'm also going to give a plug for our annual ADA Day celebration. We hold this
Yes.
every July to celebrate the anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. And this summer, we are hosting our event on Wednesday, July 15th at Copley Square Park, right across from the library. So I welcome everybody who's interested in the disability community to come to ADA Day, and then you can always pop into the library afterwards to check out some of the books that are on this book list honoring people with disabilities in July.
Absolutely. And these book lists are, like everything else, free. They offer suggestions for every age group, and they often feature books that have been published in the last year or so. So it's a really cool product of the amazing brains working at BPL across the system. I also participated in the March last year, and I'm excited to potentially bring a group of BPL employees also to the March and to the celebration again this year.
We would love that. And one thing, thinking about the disability community, one issue that's emerged over the last few years is neurodiversity. And I know that Boston Public Library, always being on the cutting edge, has also celebrated neurodiversity in its authors and in a book list. And I believe you recognized neurodiversity in April. Can you tell us a little bit about what you did during that month?
Definitely. And I cannot take credit for any of this. I also want to share our staff are really the hearts and the souls of the events and the programming that we put on. But within my role, I do get to benefit from those programs, and I often attend them in my own time, such as the event I'm about to tell you about. So for our neurodiversity month this year, we offered many programs like we've been discussing, but specifically we offered one very successful author talk with someone named Sadie Dingfelder discussing her book titled Do I Know You? And she talked a lot about face blindness and neurodiversity, and even what it means to be neurodivergent and how she experiences that identity. This was a really wonderful way for patrons to learn about and engage with experiences that are maybe something they can't empathize with, are unlike their own, and also foster that understanding and connection. And not only did patrons attend, staff like myself attended who also identify as neurodivergent. Many of our staff do, actually. And also therapists and family members and educators. And so we really pulled this amazing group of community members in to experience this talk. Last but not least, the program also really highlighted the message of having neurodiversity or a disability does not limit someone's ability to thrive, contribute, or succeed. And so building structures and institutions with that in mind is really critical to BPL's motto and work.
Yes, I can second everything that you said. And I do want to give you credit. You know, Kyrah says that it's not attributable to her, but she knows, just because I work very closely with Kyrah, I know the value that she brings. She's really passionate and committed to accessibility and inclusion of people with disabilities. So I want to thank you for all the work that you've done in this space.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And then one other thing that you've worked on is, as far as communication, is American Sign Language classes for the community. I believe you held a series of classes to teach people basic sign language. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So these free ASL classes were incredibly popular. I attended one online and there were 200 people at once on this online class. And they were really incredible, informative, and interactive. We had in-person programming, we had online programming, and we're excited to continue expanding those offerings in the near future at the library. Of course, resource dependent. When we do offer these, patrons can register for these programs and events for free on our website at bpl.org, like anything else we've mentioned today. And beyond ASL classes, we're also constantly trying to make our programming more accessible and more inclusive for the deaf and disabled community members who exist and use our libraries and contribute and add value to our library spaces as well. So celebrating them, acknowledging them is a huge piece of this work. And of course, for any program, whether it's an ASL program or not, we encourage patrons to request accommodations in advance, at least 2 weeks if possible, but still do it regardless, so we can ensure you can fully participate in every program we offer. That's really important to our free for all and to all motto.
Yep, that's great. And you know, as Kyrah mentioned, communication access is key, and we encourage people to request accommodations if they want to participate in any types of programs that they see online. So talking about programming and communication access is really great, but I also want to switch to access of the physical space. Many of our branches are older. I know, like I mentioned at the beginning, the Copley Square Library is hundreds of years old, I believe. The McKim building, at least from the 1800s, and then the newer building was built in the 1970s. But can you talk about the branch libraries and any sorts of updates that are coming? I believe there are a few new branches coming online, and what physical access looks like at the libraries.
Absolutely. So physical access, even though it is a more focused piece of accessibility, it still is a large umbrella. And so we are working on this in many different ways. First and foremost, universal design is a major priority and focus area that we have. So really building spaces for everyone, knowing that that will benefit every patron regardless of ability or identity. With that said, a recent example, our Faneuil branch was recently renovated, and it now includes, it didn't before, a new entrance pavilion, elevator, public stairs connecting to the street level to the main library floor, and many other features. We even have at the Fields Corner branch, which is currently under construction, accessibility still being central to the design process. We have planned improvements, including ADA compliant restrooms, an elevator, wheelchair accessible furniture, and accessible technology stations throughout the building, potentially even a sensory wall. And all of these projects, as well as looking at our existing buildings and how we can constantly improve access within them, those are all reflective of BPL's broader commitment to ensuring our spaces are welcoming and inclusive. I truly believe that it doesn't matter if an organization or even an institution like BPL has a resource if it's not accessible to the person intended to use it. And so that access piece is critical to what we offer and who we are at the library.
Right, and I would love to give a plug to the rest of the library staff as well, your facilities manager and director of operations, because my architectural access staff works very closely with that team for any renovations to ensure that things are not only ADA compliant, but create ideal access for people with disabilities. Things like if you're building a new branch, we want people to be able to enter together instead of having a set of stairs and then a ramp on the side. We've really encouraged the designers to make everything inclusive and not just meeting minimum compliance. And the library system has been incredibly receptive to that. So we appreciate the collaboration with you and the rest of the BPL staff. It's really amazing when you look at all the different branches because they really all have their own personality.
They are all very different. They are very different, and they have their own strengths as well as challenges. And we are always looking for feedback. And so it's actually exciting. We now have an accessibility@bpl.org email address. So if you ever have recommendations for new equipment, devices, or even just feedback on your experience, please email accessibility@bpl.org, and our Disability and Accessibility Committee will actually bring those recommendations to leadership as appropriate. We also, of course, encourage you to request accommodations, but that is a separate process.
That's amazing. And I know that people with disabilities often need assistive technology. Some people have their own systems that they bring. I use an iPad that's very easy for me to use. But can you talk a little bit about assistive technology at the Boston Public Library system? I'm sure it differs branch to branch, but can you highlight a few of the things that you know work well?
So it absolutely differs. And we are currently working on ensuring that what we have where is communicated to the public. So again, to increase access and usage of the items that we offer. Excuse me. So we offer a variety of assisted technologies and accessibility supports. This could include, or this looks like, all of our public computers across the system have built-in accessibility features like screen magnification, enlarged text, high contrast settings, Windows accessibility tools like Narrator for screen reading support. We also have many programming spaces and rooms that have a hearing loop system that transmits sounds directly to compatible hearing aids and cochlear implants. And at the Central Library specifically, within a space called Tech Central with many public computers, patrons can also access a dedicated accessibility station. So this is specifically at the Central Library, and it includes a JAWS screen reader software, optical character recognition software or OCR, as well as Braille translation software and even a Braille embosser for printing materials in Braille. And of course, if someone requests or requires a specific accommodation or assistive technology for a program, we will do everything in our power to meet that need. So we really appreciate feedback and communication from our patrons.
Amazing. Well, before we wrap up, there's just one other thing I want to touch on related to BPL because I just found out about this recently, and I couldn't believe the wealth of resources that are available at the Kirstein Business Library and Innovation
Mhm.
Center. Am I pronouncing it correctly?
Yes, and so many people don't even know this library, this micro library exists within the central library. It's an incredible hub of resources, and I wish more people took advantage. So, let me actually share some really great information about this library. We often call it KBLIC, is the acronym that we use. So, the Kirstein Business Library and Innovation Center, or KBLIC, is free, like everything else at the Boston Public Library, and it supports entrepreneurs, job seekers, small business owners, investors, and lifelong learners. So, KBLIC offers access to business and even grant databases online that you would otherwise have to pay for, market research tools, financial resources, workshops and classes. I recently took a financial literacy class as well as a first homeowners class as well. Um, Also resume support and career coaching and one-on-one assistance with even somebody who we call our entrepreneur in residence who comes and sits with patrons in a scheduled way and provides support. Again, all of this is free, and this free access to tools, resources, and expertise really can help reduce barriers to economic opportunity for many of the residents in Boston, as well as any patron who uses BPL. Another fun fact is we are not just the Boston Public Library, but we're also the Library of the Commonwealth. And so we also support individuals throughout the state.
Wow, I didn't know that either. But
Yes,
I would encourage anyone in the disability community to go down and check it out. The KBLIC is located at Copley,
mhm,
and my office has put in a whole block of accessible parking spaces right out front of the Copley Branch Library, so you'll have
amazing.
access to parking if you need that, and if not, the Green Line stop in front of the library is fully accessible.
Yes. And also, KBLIC, just to give credit where credit is due, is the department that actually put on the neurodiversity book talk, the author talk. So everyone at BPL, regardless of location, cares deeply about this work. And we really do try to implement it in everything we do versus thinking about it as a checkbox approach.
Well, Kyrah, that is a perfect note to wrap up on. I want to thank you for being our guest today. You shared a lot of valuable information, and we encourage our residents who are watching to go out and look at the BPL sites in the neighborhoods and also check out their websites so they can find out more information.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, bpl.org is the best place to find information. You can also find us on Instagram at BPL Boston and on Facebook at Boston Public Library. So stay tuned, come visit and attend workshops. I might even be there. And we really look forward to having you in our space.
Thank you so much. Now, on that note, I'd like to turn the program over to our training specialist, Sylvie Rosenkald, who's going to do a PSA on Boston Public Library cards. Sylvie?
Hi, thank you, Commissioner. My name is Sylvie Rosenkalt, and I'm the Accessibility and Inclusion Training Specialist for the City of Boston Disabilities Commission. I'm a white woman in my 30s with brown hair, glasses, a black shirt, and a gray scarf. Today, I'm going to talk to you about all the resources you can access for free with the Boston Public Library card. All residents of Massachusetts are eligible for a BPL card. And guess what? The library gives access to many free resources, and it's much more than just books. But let's start with books, what everyone is thinking about. So, from the Boston Public Library, you can borrow physical books, and they have books in different formats. So, BPL has over 500 Braille books in circulation and over 7,000 large print books in circulation. And if you want access to Braille books that the library doesn't have, BPL librarians can help with an application to the Perkins Library. Through the library, you can borrow audiobooks, ebooks. You can also access digital magazines, digital newspapers, and you can use reading apps such as Libby or Press Reader. The librarians also put together reading lists so you can check out suggestions. In addition to books, There are many movies, media, and entertainment that you can access from the library. You can get physical DVDs or CDs or Blu-ray discs from the library. You can also stream and download your movies or TV shows on the apps Biblio or Canopy, which are both online resources that you can use with your library card. There's a lot of technology that you can access at the library. At all library locations, you can use free Wi-Fi and public computers. You can also print, scan, and copy documents. Every library card holder gets $20 a month in printing that you can use. At some branches, you can borrow technology. For example, this image on the left shows Tech Central, which is part of the central branch, and you can borrow technology from them. And you might be wondering, what about assistive technology? The central branch has several types of assistive technology that you can check out or try out. And you can always ask the librarian for help using the computers. What about learning and skill building? So you can learn a lot through the library. You can take online courses or in-person courses. So for example, if you want to learn a new language, you could try out the Mango app, which is an online interactive language learning resource. Or you could come to an in-person group. So if you were trying to learn English, you could come to an English as a second language conversation group, or there are also Spanish conversation practice groups. There are ASL classes at the library, and there are other resources like LOTE for Kids, which has read alouds and bilingual children's books, including children's books in ASL. We also have to mention the Kirsten Business Library and Innovation Center. You can get tons of support with career and job skills at KBLIC. At the libraries, you could also get homework help or tutoring, attend workshops or in-person classes, and you can even learn art skills like through Creative Bug, which has thousands of award-winning arts and crafts videos, or more career skills through LinkedIn Learning. Of course, the library holds many events and experiences. They have many free library programs, educational workshops for all ages, ranging from read alouds for babies all the way up to events for adults. You can participate in author talks and cultural events or celebrations. You can borrow museum passes for many of the for free or reduced entry to many of the museums in the Boston area. Just some of the passes are listed up here on the left. And it's not just museums. It could be, for example, the American Repertory Theater has a discount here. You could also go on an art or architecture tour from the library. So there's so much going on at the library. You might be thinking, okay, how do I get the library card? If you are a Massachusetts resident, you are eligible for a Boston Public Library card. You can apply online at bpl.org or in the BPL app for an e-card, and that will give you access to all of the online resources that we just talked about. If you want a physical card, you'll have to visit a local library branch, and you can either get your e-card transferred into a physical card, or you can sign up for a physical card just from the beginning and start using the free resources immediately. So thank you so much, and back to you, Colleen.
Thank you, Sylvie, for keeping Boston's disabilities community in the know. That's the end of today's episode of Disability Access in Action. Please make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel to be the first to catch future episodes. Also, subscribe to the City of Boston's Disabilities Commission weekly newsletter at www.boston.gov/disability to stay informed about disability access and inclusion in the City of Boston. And as always, if you have questions or ideas or concerns about disability access and inclusion in the City of Boston, please feel free to reach out to us at any time at disability@boston.gov, or you can call us at 617-635-3682. Thank you for watching. Until the next episode.